To eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday to you, Mountain family. I'm Amelia Lee here on this July 17th. It's just about 6:31 this morning and time to check on in with meteorologist Jim Caldwell for a look at that forecast on this First Alert Weather Day. Jim.
Our First Alert Weather Day continues through the weekend. The reason? Same thing as yesterday. We had some thunderstorms go through the area that had the potential to bring heavy rain and severe elements. Well, the same thing continues out there today. But here's the catch. It's not going to rain every single minute of the day. You'll find periods of sunshine. It'll actually be nice. But at that time, it gets a little steamy because you're in between those showers and those thunderstorms. So it's one of those setups. But today, I think the storms are a little more likely into the afternoon and evening hours. So you're going to get the thunderstorms going. Outside of any significant rain, you still get really warm. The potential is there to get up close to 90 degrees again today. Factor in the humidity, and it's going to feel like the mid and upper 90s. So something that we will be evaluating and watching over the coming days.
A teenager is dead after a crash in East Tennessee. It happened Tuesday on I-40 in Loudoun County. A 17-year-old who was not identified was behind a tractor trailer when he was rear-ended by another vehicle. That caused the teen driver to be pushed into the back of the semi's trailer. The teen died from injuries sustained in that crash. We now know the cause of death for a 5-year-old boy after an Ian alert was issued for him in Hart County. The coroner says Silas Shearer's death was consistent with drowning. State police were called to an area in the Cub Run community on Tuesday to search for Shearer. They later found Shearer dead during a brief search. The coroner says they're awaiting toxicology results to make a final ruling, which will take about 4 to 6 weeks. A shots fired investigation is underway in St. Albans, West Virginia. It happened at around 6 yesterday morning. The St. Albans Police Department Special Response Team was executing a felony arrest and search warrant when shots were fired from an apartment. No officers were hit and no officers shot their guns.
They used the SRT team to go in there because they are felony serious warrants, and of course there's a search warrant involved. So they went in, and thankfully because of that, we use special response teams and SWAT teams and things like that because their resources and their training, and because of that high training, that is what keeps the incidents like this safe. And we have the outcomes that we have now because of that training.
A man was arrested. Additional information, including the identity of the suspect and charges, have not yet been released. On Tuesday, a crash in Jackson resulted in part of Kentucky 15 being shut down. One person was killed and several others injured. Our Neely Green spoke to the Jackson police chief about this crash.
On Tuesday, Jackson City Police received a call about a crash. It was along Kentucky 15 between Walmart and Jiffy Mart.
Upon arrival, we noticed it was a two-vehicle injury accident.
Jackson City Police Chief Brian Haddock says the crash was a head-on collision between the two vehicles.
The operator of Unit 1 crossed over into the oncoming path, causing a head-on collision.
Haddock says 35-year-old Tiffany Campbell of Jackson died. She was driving with 2 passengers when their car was hit head-on.
Upon further investigation, Tiffany Campbell of Jackson was deceased due to injuries sustained in the accident.
Haddock added that the passengers and driver of the second vehicle were flown out with non-life-threatening injuries.
The other 3 with non-life-threatening injuries was flown out from Jackson Hospital.
Haddock says the case is still being investigated. In Jackson, Neely Green, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, the crash happened in front of the Bobcat Tax Building. Joseph Lawson is appealing to have a new trial. He was convicted in connection with the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. The mother of 5 went missing in 2015 in Nelson County. In a motion filed by his defense team, it says several errors were made before and during the trial that ultimately led to that guilty verdict. The motion was filed yesterday morning and is set to be heard at his final sentencing hearing on August 21st. The jury recommended Lawson spend 25 years in prison. A proposed solar energy project is in its developmental stages and would span parts of Breathitt, Floyd, Knott, and Perry counties. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino has the latest.
Old abandoned strip mines occupy several acres of land throughout the Appalachian Mountains, acres of land that are full of potential for economic benefit. In July, the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky announced the largest solar farm in Kentucky is planned for construction in 2026.
This first phase will be 210 megawatts and consisting of 1,385 acres of solar panels on the land of the Starfire surface coal mine, which is a reclaimed mine site.
In April, the Starfire Community Coalition began conversation about how solar development can best serve the local people.
The goal for the end of the project is to make this a win-win for everyone involved. Solar has a lot of potential benefits for utility ratepayers and also environmentally speaking. But again, we also want to make sure that, again, our local workers and local folks who are in need of charitable organizations, that they also get benefits from the solar development.
While the project is still in the early stages of development, maintenance operations are already in discussion, including sheeps, which will open another aspect of benefits.
Rather than using lawnmowers or weed eaters to try to cut the grass in the area, perhaps they can have shepherds be up there and have some sheep that would help with that. Again, I think that there's some economic advantages to doing it that way. And then, of course, also it gives you another opportunity for people to have some livestock and support some other jobs.
Several topics regarding the solar project will be hosted at the Starfire Community Panel on July 23rd. In Perry County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
Officials say as they continue to engage with local organizations, residents, and workers, they hope to better understand the region's hopes, needs, and ideas for how this solar project can support a stronger, more resilient Appalachian Kentucky. You can find more about how to join the conversation on WYMT.com. Kentucky realtors have released housing marketing data for the month of June. In a release, the volume of total sales was worth $1.5 billion. That's up nearly 14% compared to June of last year. The total number of listings on homes that were sold were up more than 10% compared to June 2024. Camp Unite is back for its 19th year, with students from throughout the region staying at the University of Pikeville. The camp kicked off Tuesday, inviting students grades 7 through 9 to play games, take part in sports activities, learn cooking, dive into skincare, and more. With more than 12 tracks and activities to keep the kids busy and entertained this week, all of that's done with the main focus of the camp in play, keeping kids substance-free, which is what this year's theme, Game Changers, is all about.
Just encourage them to have hope in their life and to see that there's a really good way of living if you do things the right way.
Camp Unite continues at the university through Friday. Well, it's been 10 years since the Kentucky Children's Hospital Division of Pediatric Forensics was formed. It's a dedicated space within the hospital that treats, examines, and identifies children harmed by abuse and neglect. The area was made possible by a $2 million gift from COSAIR for Kids. Through the years, staff members have evaluated 6,500 children with the emphasis of researching child abuse prevention.
And what we did realize that a lot of our children that were dying due to abuse or neglect had actually been seen by a medical provider within 2 weeks of their death and had an injury that should have been recognized.
Well, we are told on average 13 to 15 children a day can come to that waiting room for child abuse or neglect exams. With the dead period over for student athletes in Kentucky, many are getting ready for the upcoming sports season. But keeping those students safe in the heat is a top priority, including for those with Jefferson County Public Schools. Trainers use special equipment to monitor temperatures on the field. If the athletes reach dangerous levels, their time on the field will be limited and will be sent indoors for practice.
It's real important because they help us. They tell us keep our body hydrated. They always tell us days before like a game, 7-on-7, anything. They give us protein bars, a lot of protein stuff to keep our body in shape. And we got a good trainer. She keep our body good.
The Jefferson County Public School System also sets a 2-hour limit on practices and makes sure they're in the mornings or evenings when it's cooler. They also take frequent water breaks. Well, officials say work is going to start soon on a road in Letcher County. Crews, they'll be doing that work on Kentucky 1410 starting Monday for embankment repairs. They say this work is expected to run through July 24th. That's next Thursday. They'll do the work at mile 0.375 near Old Kate Lane. Well, thanks for getting your day started with us on Mountain News this morning at 6:41.